Hey, welcome back to History of Design, Session 2A, I guess we'll call it. I'm just going to do a brief review, then we're going to jump on in. The whole point is not having to review everything again, but I just want to make sure we're all up to date. We know what's going on, and we're not going to mess anything up, so I should have started that there. We click in studio sessions. Session 1 is ending. Again, I have stuff set up. Always make sure you do it your attendance. I go by the book on that. If you didn't turn that in, you're absent. Even if you turned in everything, like that's attendance, the first thing. That's why it's the first thing in there. It'll be the first thing for every session. Takes you 5 minutes. Do it. Just do it like whatever, but get it done. If you don't get it done, I mark you absent. And then you're going to tell me like, what? No, but I was there. I turned in everything. I'll be like, not the attendance thing. So it's just as important. Make sure you're doing that. Takes a couple minutes. I'll review it in session 2 as well. The video lectures are now housed in a little folder. There's 1A, 1B. If I mess it up, sometimes I copy and paste. Just let me know. You're like, you put in the wrong video. I'm fine with that. Just shout it out. Again, I got some people online. A lot of people watch the videos. I sent out that thing. There is so much more information in the videos that you don't get. And I noticed because I'm like, people are turning in assignments and I'm like, you didn't watch the video because I kind of tell how to do something. I can tell you didn't do it. So watch the videos. They're instructional and I do tricks and tips and I'm trying to work out something and I'll talk to you all about it today. And hopefully you can comment to me. Mid-session project reviews. That's where you check in with me. Hey, how does this look? What should I tweak? What should I do? I'll give you my insights, my brain, my 30 years of design knowledge to help you become a better designer. Use it or lose it. And then now, like I said, I have stuff separated out. Tuesday's assignments, I'll cover off on Tuesday. This is what I want to talk to you about too. And Thursday's assignments, I'll cover off on Thursday. Now, this may be a little confusing. You don't have to answer now. You can send me a note, everybody. I was thinking what I would do is, what if this seems a little weird, but I kind of feel like I know how most students work, is you're going to do the Tuesday's assignments right before they're due and do the Thursday assignment right before it's due. So if I introduce Tuesday's assignments on Tuesdays, but like do a deep dive on Thursday that's closer to the day it's due, and then introduce Thursday's assignment on Thursday, but do a deep dive on Tuesday just before it's due. Does that make sense? So like introduce it, you start thinking about it, you start working on it, and then on Tuesday, it's due on Thursday, I'd be like, this is what I would do on mine, and I'll show you all this stuff, and you maybe introduce that. So I wonder if that makes sense to everybody, where I'll introduce Tuesday's assignments, just kind of like, this is what you need to do, but do deep dive on Thursday. And then Thursday assignment, I'll introduce and then do deep dive on Tuesday. Just wondering if having the deep dive closer to the day it's due would work better for everybody, or if it's too confusing, just be like, dude, it's so confusing. What are you doing? It's dumb. Don't do it. So I'm fine with that as well. Whatever works better, if that makes sense, you can message me. If nobody messaged me, I'm just going to keep it. I'll do it how I want. And if enough people say it one way, I will change it to one way. I think there's only like 7 of you in the class. All right, session 2, attendance. What do we do? Start attempt. Get this done right away. Talking about it was a comp in design terminology, a preliminary layout of a design. If you don't know what it is, and you should know what it is, because somebody says to you, how did you come up with that comp? And you're like, what do you mean? Well, you should know what that is. And here, a comp, a short comprehensive layout. Design term is a polished mock-up prototype. So a preliminary layout. It is not a component. It's not a computer graphic. It is not a compressed image. And then you hit continue, get your freebie, get your super little score on there, free A's basically. As we know, mid-session project review, use it. Talk to me. Hey, what if I do this? Oh, but that means you have to do stuff early. Yeah, I have 3 classes today, so I repeat myself a lot. Use this. This is working with an art director. This is getting your stuff done a little bit earlier. And I I got some students in here, and they're gonna be like, oh, I'm saying the same thing. Waiting till the last minute because I work better under pressure makes no sense and doesn't work. You know why? Working under pressure up into the last minute gives you one solution. Oh, I'm doing it, yeah, and it seems like the greatest solution, right? You're working under pressure. It's due. I got 30 minutes to get it done, and you're cranking away. You had a week, and you waited till the last 30 minutes. The problem is you give yourself no chance to develop your design. It may look really cool. Here's the problem. Then you're gonna go to bed, sleep on it, and this is like from examples. Then you work on, you're working on it, you don't turn anything, you turn it in the last minute, and you're like, yeah, I got it done. Yes. And then like a day later, you're like, I just had an idea for that project that would make it way better. But you didn't allow yourself time to do it. And that happens when you sleep on it. You literally, your subconscious brain works on problems that you had during the day over multiple days. So if you work on projects earlier, your subconscious brain will work while you're sleeping. And when you go back to that project, you will be like, oh, you know what? I could do this and this. When you wait until the last minute, you're not allowing yourself that extra creativity to like go back and be like, you know what? I'm going to change this. Or what if I tweak that? You're just like, it's one and done. So don't, try not to put yourself in that situation. I try to spread out the projects throughout the week and make like it's easier, medium, and hard. And the hard one you can spread out. And I'll talk about both of them today. Like I work on these with you and I show you my tricks and tips. And so think about that. And then we have the Tuesdays assignments, and then we have Thursdays. I'll talk about Tuesdays assignments, and I'm going to go over it a little bit. But first, let's talk about printing coming to Europe. All right. So we knew about the invention of writing, and I skipped a bunch of chapters in the book. Reason being is the book is like 20 some chapters. I needed to pick it down to have 14 chapters in order to have a semester. I wasn't going to inundate anybody at any time with all of it. If history is your thing, awesome. Dive in more. You can find the book in a lot of places. Dive in more if you're really into history. Push it. Like the more I teach this, the more I get into it. It is kind of cool. So we have now. We started writing, and we talked about those scribes and certain people and priests were the only ones who could read and understand the written language. Just the normal person wasn't reading back then. And so knowledge was power. And so anybody who could read was smarter than everybody else. And then so it helped them, become the next class up. Over time, people were starting to print books. It was a hard process. First, we got the scribe here, right? And he's got a book up here and a book down here, and the book up here, he's tracing everything that's in this book. He has to write in this book, and he has to do it verbatim per page, and that takes forever. If I was asked you to like handwrite a book, beautifully calligraphy, handwrite a book, by candlelight, how many copies can you possibly make a year? Not many, so we need a faster process. And so over time, we developed some faster process. One is woodblock printing. So woodblock is this example over here. I can carve in an image into a hard piece of wood, get a little bit of text in there, and make multiple copies per page. It's not changeable. Once I carved it, it's done. And I can, use it until the wood wears out. And wood wears out. It's being pressed so hard that it eventually just kind of squishes. So you have to replace them after a while. So that's how you do it. It would be like the whole sheet. So you're printing like one sheet at a time. Still faster than doing this. Here you're just writing out a page each time. Here you need somebody to carve it. And then you can just print a bunch. But again, doing text extremely hard because you're carving the reverse. You're carving what you don't want. Playing cards became a big thing. These could be block printed. There's a whole section on the master of the playing card, some hidden figure in the world that nobody knows who he was, but like he invented the playing card, and this was like almost like a mischievous thing. Like playing cards were like the peasants used them, and so that's why they're all about the symbology. Is you didn't need to read them. Is there you could count and you could see like this is our king and this is a joker, you know, a queen, and so you didn't have to be able to read. And so some guy like kind of started printing these, and they, you know, they help people get used to visual symbols. That's a great way to put it. So that came around. Then their block books. I like this. It's the block books. It's a 1940s comic book where the book, you know, it evolved from here to a little bit more text. So we'll do 4 pictures because people who couldn't read could understand the picture. People who could read could then get more context out of it. So it worked for both. And as it says here, you know, it's used to teach religious lessons to people who couldn't read well. So you can kind of, if you don't know all the words here, you can kind of get like, man is going in, you know, I don't know what all these symbols meant, but they did back then. Like, I don't know. So then we get into Gutenberg's movable type. Here's where we changed the world. Like literally the world changed with this invention of this. This is a hard piece of metal. And let me tell you, I did a deep dive this week into this Gutenberg's thing, and I'll show you on the next page of why. And I was trying to figure out like, how does this thing work? What are they talking about? And watching like YouTube videos and like weird old men showing it, but not really showing it. It was hilarious. But I did a deep dive so I could work on a project with you guys. So Gutenberg, the big idea was to create individual metal letters that could be moved around and set into place. So you are a type setter. You set type into a matrix, and that goes into something else, and then you can print it. And you can print it, and when you printed 1,000 of that page, you could take all your letters back and then make another page. And then, you know, and then somebody could be making a page while you're printing a page, you know, like, and so you can almost assembly line this, and you can have pages ready to go. So many people could work on this at once. When you're wood carving, only one person can work on a page at once. You know what I mean? You can't have people figuring it out. It's like one person sitting there carving and maybe 2 people carving at once. That's a time intensive. But if you're just taking pieces of metal with a letter and sliding them in a track, that's much quicker and much easier. So the type mold, this weird box, and this was the part I was having trouble with. And they have all these stupid pictures, and I couldn't figure out what the pictures meant, and that they're not really conducive to understanding how it works. And even this doesn't show. But what would happen is you would have this piece, which was hardened steel, and somebody made this and filed one letter. It took a long time. But once this one letter was done, it could be used like an infinite amount of times. Just the one letter. This was then stamped in. I wonder if I have the book. I don't have the book. No, I do have the book. Let's see if I can get the book. I'll show you. It's easier to show you. Because then if I describe it, it's a little bit easier. At least I think it will be. Okay. So this, somebody filed this piece of metal, and it's steel, right? And they made a perfect reversed letter. So first it's got to be reversed, because then I'm going to take this, and then I have a piece of really soft metal, copper. They always just use copper. And I'm going to take this hard piece, turn it upside down with a hammer, and smash it once as hard as I can into the copper. And it's going to leave an impression of this H, you know, because this will dig into there. Then I put this piece into this slidey, this thing. And this is 2 parts. I put it at the bottom, And then within that, all this weird stuff, which is adjustable, I can pour a semi-soft metal and basically get this piece back out, but out of a semi-soft metal. And I can then make, for H, in this contraption where I'm pouring like lead, like it's a special lead. It's lead and tin combined. And it heats up to 500 degrees. I can make, they said something like 2 letters a minute. So I'm just sitting there and somebody's making 2 H's a minute, 2 capital H's a minute. And they can make 100 of these capital H's. So when you're typesetting, now you have 100 H's. And then we make the lowercase h. And you can swap out this. I take this soft H and I store it in case I got to make more. And then I make a punch with the lowercase h, new piece of copper, smash it in there, put it into this mold, and make 1 million to a minute lowercase h. And you just do that with every letter. Seems crazy, but it's eventually it becomes much faster than actually printing, or actually, physically writing calligraphy in the book. Sure, somebody be like, well, I can write this whole page in a little while. Well, once I have all my typeset, I can make 1,000 of those pages in 2 days, and you can't, so it does change things. So that's a type mold, which then goes into, we'll get into those. So the Textura was the first type-based. The first type was based on handwriting, because what else would you base it on? What we knew before that, it was handwriting. So the first time you create something, you create it after what you know about. And so the first font looked a little bit like calligraphy, just hand letters, calligraphy. And that's this. Then you hear about the 42-line Bible. That's this right here. It's literally called the 42-line Bible because if you count the lines, there's 42 of them. That's it. And there's more involved about like why he chose what he did, or all that kind of stuff. It changed over time. This is kind of fun. The birth of branding, the colophon. It's this little mark right here that eventually, Gutenberg was the first dude, and then some Faust and Schoeffer began adding a colophon or a logo or a note at the end of the book to say like, hey, we did this book, not Gutenberg, not somebody else. And so it was a way so when people saw it, they knew who printed it. So it is kind of like the birth of branding, because books were rare. And then if like back then, through word of mouth, that Gutenberg invented the press, and you don't know that there's other guys doing it, these guys were like, I want attention too, so I'm going to brand my book. And then this led to, what is this? This is a library. Not many books in that library, but there weren't many books back then. And printing just became the internet of its time. Books were available. People could look at books. Books used to be like hidden and stored away. There'd be one Bible in the church. Who read that Bible? The priest and only certain people. You couldn't come off the street and be like, hey, can I dig through the Bible and learn how to read? They would be like, no, it's a special privilege. Here now, as we started to be able to make like one book per church, which was, drawn by a scribe, Gutenberg busts out and he's like, I made 500 Bibles in a year. I don't know how long it took him. And then that just then transforms into like, all of a sudden there's 500 Bibles. And then the next year there's 1,000. That's a lot. There, and we think of populations as they are today. There was much fewer population, so 1,000 Bibles went a long way. And then people off the street could be like, oh, it's in the library. I can learn how to read it myself if I'm curious, because I can get my hands on one. That was the main thing, is like getting your hands on it so you could learn to read and then move yourself up in a class. You could be like, oh, I know what that says. That guy's screwing me. You know, like he's got a scribe who wrote the contract and it says, you know, 2 shillings and then he's only paying me 1, but because I didn't know how to read, but now I can read it. I'd be like, no, 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 I know how to read. Pay me my right stuff. So big fun stuff. Printing Comes to Europe. Again, this is just some side notes from the book. The book has far more information in it. Dig around, look around, pick out your favorite topic. First, let's do a title. All right, title. Restrictive little piece. This one you're going to do in Illustrator. It's going to be the same size. We're going to create our document based on this. And there is all of, you know, when the composition, create an inspiring viewing, visually and stunning composition that perfectly reflects the information and style of your chosen subject matter. From this week's reading. All right. The title, Printing Comes to Europe. Make sure you get it right. Only 2 colors, only 1 font, and at least 2 typographic modifications. Changing a letter, changing something, not just typing it out and being like, I'm done. So let's create something. You know, that's from my earlier class. I'm going to go to New File. Oh, I just changed everything and I didn't restart Illustrator. So the size, 6.5 wide, 1.5 tall, bleed, 0.25. I'm just going down my instructions, all right? Making sure it's 1 page. Let's hit create again. Oh, yes, I knew I could do that. There's our starter. I'm going to create a margin, standardized for all print documents. All documents should always have a margin. It's just something you get used to doing. Joel always make the margin. Why? Well, there's a reason. So it's going to be 6 by 1. So I'm just going to go and make a square. I called my layer margin. I'm just going to go up here in my properties. Like I said, if you're new to working with me, I am sold on the properties panel that they developed. It makes life so much easier. I used to have thousands of I used to have a second screen and I'd have every one of these open in order on a side screen and I'd be running to another screen, running back. Now that they did this and it changes as you do it, it's amazing. Simply amazing. All right, so my margin 6 by 1. It's got no fill. All right, everybody always forgets the no fill and then they try to hide the margin on me and they put it below and they're like, well, I couldn't see anything behind it. Well, just take out the fill, no fill. The stroke, magenta. But Joel, why magenta? I say this every time. Industry standard. You'll get documents from printers or whatever, and you make the margin will be magenta. You'll create your own. It'll be magenta because when the printer sees it and they see that box around your art piece, they'll be like, oh yeah, okay, that's the margin. It's marked margin. It doesn't show up all the time, but I can see it. And when you get it from printers, it's very important that you use the margin. You'll either get charged more for adjustments or you'll print something and you'll be like, why is the guy's face half cut off? And they're like, because you put it past the margin. We couldn't guarantee that. So it is an important part of the print and design process. So I have that. Fill, stroke 1. I'm going to align it to the center. I'm going to hit this button. Then I'm going to hit this button. Make sure you guys. Oh, yeah. So this button, it's perfectly centered. I'm going to turn on my rulers. I know my shortcut keys for rulers, Command R, Control R. I can't remember buzzing back and forth from a Mac to a PC. I use both. And so I can just go back and forth very easily. Just kind of know your key commands. The more you're going up here, running around doing all this, you're wasting your time when you could just hit a keyboard with your hand. So, all right, there's my margin layer. I'm going to create a crop marks layer. So go down to the plus, double click, crop marks. All right, got a crop mark layer. Score on this one, boom, boom. This one, okay, 6.5 by 1.5, perfect size, no fill, no stroke. So at no fill, see that red line? Stroke, red line, perfect. Then I'm going to go to FX and click on third one down, crop marks. Makes the crop marks. Somebody mentioned in a different class, your crop marks look different than mine. I go in and I use these things called Japanese crop marks. I like them. I do a lot of cutting things out, and I just got used to using these. You can just click on them. They're in preferences. I think it's in general if you want to use them. It's just general, and it's click use Japanese crop marks. I don't know why. It's something I started using years ago, and I stuck with it. All right, so I'm going to lock that one. I create a new layer. I'm going to pull that layer below, and I'm going to call it title. And then I'm going to create another layer, pull it below, call it background. Done. And then we are ready to design. Printing comes to Europe. I'm just going right to my document. I have it open. I'm on title, and I'm going to use point text. So point text is when I tap and I paste. Now the next thing I like to do is I'm just going to bring it up here, and I have 4 words. Printing comes to Europe. I'm going to duplicate this 4 times. So I copy and go paste, paste, paste. And then I go in and I delete all the other words. Is there a faster way to do this? Maybe. It's just something I got used to doing. There we go. Now font. I have it in my head, but I don't know what font. Oh. And I just got a new computer set up, and a bunch of stuff is missing, so work with me. All right, let's do, actually, you know what? I'm going to go, because sometimes I have a hard time scrolling through all this, and I got Adobe working on this computer, so I'm going to open up the Adobe, recents. Just give me, oh, how do I get out of this? Oh, sorry, I'm trying to open up applications. I wanted applications. And I want Creative Cloud. All right, so this is my Creative Cloud. I'm going to go to the home. I'm going to go to the font. Skip tour. I'm going to browse more fonts. It's going to open up here. And I want like 12 more. I want like black letter, but I want like, like that old English style. That's what I'm kind of going for. But I want it to be legible. I may just do Morris. Let's do Morris. So I'm going to click on Add Family. Now this is just, shooting through. I can also add it to a library. I've started doing that a little bit, and it works out pretty great. But when I add that, within a minute or two, it should show up on my system. I got libraries working, and I love it because I go on different computers a lot. Let's see if Morris showed up yet. There we go, Morris and Troy and ornaments. Ooh. So look at that. So I can like maybe do the P and the E. in this ugly font. All right, so I'm going to make a copy of all those. I don't want those in that funky font. It's Troy or Golden. I like Golden. And then I was going to do a P and the E. And again, I'm using point type because I'm doing a lot of manipulation to the words, and I don't want it in the area text because I want to be able to just grab stuff, hold shift, and make things bigger. So I'm going to make this P really big. Like, I'm going to make it, I mean, it's so hard to read. And then I got to delete the P from here. Like, I kind of want to like go to here. And I was flying off the cuff here. Printing comes, and then like Europe. So I want to like, whoops, never want to stretch fonts. What if we do something like that? So this, I can just use to resize this to this size. All I'm going to do is use the eyedropper tool, and it automatically resizes it to the correct size, just like this. I want Europe to be the size of printing. So Europe is selected. I select the eyedropper, click on that, and I don't have to adjust it. I don't even have to like go to that other stuff. It's quicker for me. That allows me then to set this here up to the margin, not past. Slide that in. Printing. And then I think I want that comes to maybe blocked out a bit. And I want the C lowercase. And then I think I'm going to change. I don't know. I feel like without the capital C, it reads weird. Sorry about that, Grab. I'm going to do something like that. And then the color, I'm going to change the color of these to, their blue is always really purple. I'll teach you something else too. So I'm going to make my own blue. No, this gets cranked. This gets lowered. I want a little more black in there. Like I want it more royal. And then I add a little green or a little yellow. I don't know. I'm just making it up. Looks good to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the swatches. I'm going to click plus. I'm going to call it, I don't know, like new blue. This is something I try to do all the time. It's not necessary. It's better. Like if you're in my brand and media, it's a perfect one for that. So I'm going to click new blue, and I'm going to change it from process color to spot color. I'm going to make sure that global is hit, and I'm going to hit OK. And now that it's transformed into a spot color, I can adjust the tint of it without, so I can go all the way down the pure white. And it doesn't make it transparent, it's a tinted. So whenever I use that, I can have tints of it. So I can use one color and get an entire range of that color, and I'm still using one color. So it's like a workaround for, oh, he says we can only use like one color or two colors max. Well, if you use one color, but 99 tints of that color, it works. It's part of that. So you have to like think creatively, and that's the way to do it. The way you don't make a color square, like let's do a color, and say it was, if I go back to here, say it was like this. And then I'm like, okay, I want a color that's 50% of that. And then you go here And then you're here and you're like, okay, what if I'll lower that and then I'll lower that. And I'm like, and you're just guessing, right? You're just guessing. It looks lighter. It looks like the same color, but it's not. But what I can do, like the reason we do that is if I have this and I check that spot color and I make another one of this and they're overlapping and I want like this one to be 50% lighter, I just drag this to 50%. And mathematically, this is 50% of, this is 50% of this. So it's something cool to learn over time. Now, we can have a background, right? Let me look. 2 colors maximum. You know what makes me want to do? A dirty background. Let's see what a dirty, like yellowy background. So I'm going to make my background. And of course, I'm going to pull my background all the way to the bleed. All right. And then for this color, I will go back to here and I will start with like this. And I'm going to go to here and I'm going to make my own like dirty. And this is one where I think if I'm not getting what I want and like this is still a little dark, why don't I make it a spot color and so I can change the tint of it? And it's this easy. So click here. So click on the spot, hit the plus, turn it to tan. I want to change from process color to spot color, CMYK. This is all good. And I'm going to hit OK. Now I have the spot color. Now if I want to change it and I want it lighter, all I do is this. I just want it like a little bit yellowy. Now that's pretty great. And that would be my Printing Comes to Europe title. One last thing I want to show you with that color and why we use global. I'm going to do one more new color. So I'm going to go to here. Let's make it green. I'm going to make like a weird, like, oh, you know, I had stuff going on in the background. All right. So I have like, say that's the green and I'm like, I love this. And I'm going to make a spot color out of it. And so I go to this here and then here plus, and I call it pea green. Hit return. Oh my gosh. Did it too quick. Process color spot. So global is clicked here. There's a reason for that. And I'm going to hit spot color and I'm going to hit OK. Then I'm going to make one. I'm going to copy this. And it's a spot color. Making sure it's the spot color. Why is the spot not showing there? Okay. So then I'm going to copy and paste that. And I'm going to do a tint of that, right? As we talked about, I can change that here. And I got this one. And I'm going to copy and paste that and put it here. And I'm going to change the tint of that to like really light. And then I'm working. I'm like, you know what? I don't like that green. I'm not digging it. It's not working for me. So you can click on that. I can go and edit this now. So if I double click on my spot color, come on. Where is it? There it is. Double click down there. Now, like I want it more green. Watch all three because it's a global color. They all change in relation. So if you're like had a whole piece and you used a global spot color and it was like 12 pages long and somebody was like, I want it more orange. And you did it, everything on everything changes for you. So super knowledge there if you didn't know that already. So there's my Printing Comes to Europe. All right, now Joel's got that dumb thing where you got to save it twice. Well, let's make life easier on you. I'm going to go File, Save As. I'm going to save to the cloud. This is, what do I call it? Chapter 1. JSKAJA _ Chapter 2. 2. All right. I'm going to save it to the cloud. I'm going to save it to my files and 126, save. Now I have 2 exports. And you're like, every time we got to export these, I got to go through all these things. No, you don't. You can save the PDF. So you can save one for client and you can save one for print and never have to do this again. This works in both programs the same way. So I'm going to go to File, Export, Export As. I want to save a PDF. Desktop is fine. Why did it save it? My name. Oh, was I looking down and not typing right? Chapter 2. All right. So the Adobe. I'm going to hit Export. Now for the press, or for the client, and I should have called it client, I want smallest file size. I want to make sure View PDF after saving is on. I'm going to go to Marks and Bleeds and make sure nothing's turned on. So general, just checking all those. It's all good, right? So this is smallest. If I go to this right here and I click on that, I can save this preset and call it client. Now I was trying to find out how I can bust, because they always show up at the bottom. And I was like, putting it in brackets might move it to the top. And if I hit OK and I export PDF, why is my margin showing? So that's great. Oh, you know why? Because I forgot to turn the margin. How come nobody called me on turning my margin into a template? Boom, there you go, fixed it. I forgot that step. And that's why I have the PDF open after saving. And then all I have to do is go to File, Export As. I saw I made a mistake. Export As, PDF. To export, replace. Watch this. There, it's set on client. I don't have to change anything. Export PDF, boom. Now I can do the same for the other one. So I go to File, make sure I'm on the right one. Okay. File, Export, Export As. I'm not going to change the name. Now I want to make sure it's press quality, View PDF after saving. I'm going to Marks and Bleeds. I only want trim marks on and use document bleed settings. I'm going to go to here, and this is press. I'm going to hit OK. Now it's saving one as press. Export PDF. This is perfect. And when I go, every time I go to File, Export, and then Export As, I'm just going to go right to the export place. My selections are right here. So I just have to pick which one. Boom, boom. So once you have it perfectly set up, you don't have to read my instructions anymore. You just hit client or press and change your name and you're done. Speed up your process. That's a great way to do it. File. Well, I'll have to change the name later. All right. So that's like the title work. Now, printing comes to Europe. We have our InDesign. I'll work on this for a little bit, and I'll work on it a little bit more next class, but I'll get it started. We're going to start with the InDesign document, 7 inches wide, 5 inches tall, create a bunch of layers, and then we have our work. And I'm going to show you a little bit how I work as well. And this will carry over into Thursday, as I'll keep you maybe another 30 minutes. We'll just get this started, but I want to show you my working process, and I'm going to do this now every week, and you can see like, oh, if you do this, it's quicker. If you do this or this, And I'm going to start using the libraries. You guys have to let me know if you don't have libraries available. I won't use them, but it does make like grabbing images easier and it keeps them all in one place. So let's jump on in. All right, I'm going to move this aside. I'm going to go to InDesign. I'm going to create a new file over here. Go to print, inches. I preset mine to inches. If you guys want to know about setting up your computer presets better, let me know. I'm assuming you learned how to do it, but if you're like, I wish when I opened it, it did a certain thing. That's just resetting presets. All right, 7 inches wide, 5 inches tall. I do not want facing pages. I hate facing pages because I don't write a lot of books. So no facing pages. One page, start, columns can just stay at that. The bleed, 0.25. And if you just hit tab, they all populate, or margin, margin, 0.25, bleed, 0.25, tab, they all populate. We're not going to do slug. Then I hit create. There's my document. I got my layers. I'm going to create a title layer. I'm going to create a images layer. I'm going to create a paragraph layer. And I'm going to create a background layer. Now, I told you all I did a deep dive into this subject matter and started looking around. And so I found images already. So I'm going to put my images actually below. It's just personal preference. So I'm going to lock all my layers. I'm on images. If I go to CC Library, it should be, this is chapter images. I have to double check where I skip. This is for brand. No, this is for the poster. No. It helps if I remember where I've saved stuff. Oh boy, guys. I got all these images. Let's check. Let's check here. Files. That's project A, libraries. Oh no. I didn't save them here. Well, let's go back. So I know. So we'll do another section. Let's see if I can revive myself here. One thing I did do is I got the type done. God, I hope I got the type done. And I used Gutenberg. And so Gutenberg's type mold invention explained. So I asked it for 200 words on Gutenberg's, and I looked at it, and this is what it gave me. And I was like, okay. And I read through it, and I'm like, I'm not going to do all this. This is a lot of stuff. And so I copied and pasted all of it into a document. Nope. Well, now I feel like, Gutenberg. There, I named it. So I double checked, and I took the parts that I wanted, and then I went to tools, word count, 222 words. Okay, this is great. And then this is basically where it's from, but I can copy and paste this. Now I double checked my work. I read through it. I liked it. Now I can go here, and instead of images, I'm going to go to paragraph, and I'm going to draw my type box. And there we are. And then I can start to adjust it. Oh, I did it the wrong thing. This is where free transform is your friend. But I don't know why it did that either. Oh my God. This shouldn't be happening. Type 2. Oh, there we go. There was a glitch there. Get a glitch, just fix the glitch. All right, so I might type. This is the 200 some words. Already it's too much, too big. So I'm going to go down to 10 point. I want to make sure I can read it all. Now, I want to separate out paragraphs, and I have 2 bolding areas. And so right now I can develop my paragraph a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the paragraph, which is this 3 bars here. And I can set some stuff up. First one, I do not want to ever hyphenate. Make sure that's turned off. That will remove all hyphenated letters. Now the second one is I'm looking at these little guys here, and I want a space between my paragraphs. And I want it to automatically do it. So I can just click on this and see how it automatically puts spaces between paragraphs. And that way I know, like, oh, okay, there's spaces there, and you can make that bigger or smaller, and it does it all at once. And you can, start to play around with some of these. You can indent here if you want an indent. And then there's ways to trick. So like the mechanics of the mold type, if I select this area, if I do a shift return, I can fake it into making it think that it's not another paragraph. And then when I return this, it puts in that special page break. So I'm kind of I can trick the computer in some simple ways to get the typesetting the way I want it. So if I was to say like, oh, I want to hit a return here, and I have that paragraph set up. If I hit return, it adds a big space and it indents it. But if I hit shift return, which is called a soft return, it just nicely does it and moves it and keeps it in the system. So when you hear about me and I write to you, be like, oh, you should put a soft return after that word. I do soft returns on jaggeds. Like maybe if this the, and I wanted the on the other line to look better, I would delete the space and hit shift return, and then be like, okay, and then I'm going to put this on the next line and shift return. And it doesn't affect all these things I did over here, doesn't affect it because I did the shift return. And I can actually, I wonder if I go smaller. I'm going to go, you can go like the 8-point font on some of these. Let's go to 8. And then I want these to be bold. Well, one, I don't want to use I'm never use the default font. All right, just don't. You got thousands of fonts to choose from. Pick something nicer. The other one, make sure your fonts aren't squished. And then I'm going to make my titles bigger, bolder, right? The same font, bold. Regular to bold. I'll make it bigger too. It's going to be 12. No, I'm going to go to 10. Because then a 12 will be the title, which I'll do separately. And this is Gutenberg's type bold. Probably need apostrophe. All right, and then this is the title. So then, you know, this is going to be, what is that? No, that's a mix of fonts. I was going to do that other font I used, but maybe I just keep it all times. Oh, do I have a different times? Nah, yeah, just go with this. Times New Roman bold. And then we make that, I can make that bigger. Because right now I'm still thinking about the spacing for the images, which I think at this point, I've talked about the setups. I'm going to go to File, Save As. I'm going to save it in my files, and my location is 126, and it should be our JSCAJA. And then it's underscore chapter 2. And then I'm going to hit save. And I'll come back and work on this more on Thursday. At this point, is there any questions, comments, or concerns about what we're doing, what we're working on, how we're working on it? Like I said, on Thursday, I'll do a deeper dive. I'll get this finished up. I'll find out where I saved all my images because, man, I spent a lot of time on that. But I did it at home, and I thought I moved it over. And then I will also work on Project A. I've got Project A set up. As you can see, I've found, if I go back out, I have a Project A built up with everything. It's in my projects. So if we go to projects, I have GRS, and I have, this is my start. So this is my, you know, and these are my examples. So if I double click on this, it gives me a preview and I can open it. I'll just show you what I'm working on. I'll do more. And this is my start. So I'll go to page 1 and I'll show you how I did some of this. Again, I do everything the same: images, information, title, background. So this is the setup, and the background is based on the people I chose for my posters. So I looked through the book, and there's part 1. This is part 1, which is research. And what I did is part 1 will be all blue backgrounds. Part 2 will be all pink backgrounds. Part 3 will be yellow. Part 4 will be black. And so, like, this is the intro page. And then I'm going to do my write-up on Herbert Matter, my write-up on Bradbury Thompson, and my write-up on Otto Storch. And then Vans is going to be my client. And if I have the examples here, I have all examples that I need for all of them. So I have like Bradbury Thompson examples, and I just pull them over when I'm setting them. And so they're all right where I need them. I did the Herbert Matters, those ones, put them in here, thinking a little bit crazy. I did something in like last minute and I changed it. I was like, oh, maybe I want them on an angle. Maybe I want to be a little weird and funky. So just starting to play around with that. And that's how far I've gotten on Project A. I'll do a deeper dive into the finalizing of it and then moving on to the sketches on Thursday. So there you go. Any questions, comments, or concerns at this point? All right, cool. Well, I will see you on Thursday, and we'll do more deep diving into this and a little bit talk about history and talk about design, and we'll keep rolling. All right, I will see you guys on Thursday if I don't talk to you on the discussion boards. All right, bye-bye.